Hello, Mister. Hello, everyone. I am Novianti Nurfadila. I am from Group 4, and our group consists of 3 people, namely Yunilandari, Suratmi, and me, Novianti. And our group will present material about Morphosyntax, and the first material will be presented by Yunilandari.
Definition of syntax. Syntax is the way how the words are put together to form phrases and sentences. In other words, syntax is the study of the structure of sentence. To study syntax is to study the patterns and relationship of verb, phrase, and clauses. The descriptive part of speech into two broad classes. There is open classes and closed classes. The open classes include nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Nouns. Nouns have two morphological forms, the plural and the possessive. In general, a plural noun will have an s or an is ending, and a possessive noun will have an as ending. Verbs. Verbs have two morphological forms that can be inflected for number and tense. Number of encouragement only appears in the present tense, and as ending marking the third present singular form. Adjective. Adjectives have morphological forms for the comparative and superlative degrees and as respectively. Adverb. Adverbs have two of the most commonly known morphological forms. Adverbs are marked by an "ly" ending, such as quickly, happily, sadly, unfortunately. Syntactic categories. Noun phrase. NP. A noun phrase can be used as the subject of a sentence, as in A, as direct object as in B, as indirect object as in C, and many other ways as well. Phrase. VP. For phrases based on traditional grammar are groups of words in the form of a main verb and an auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb. Main verb is any verb including linking verbs that is not auxiliary verb, such as drive, want, read, taste, smell, use, are, was, and were. Adjective phrase. It is used to modify nouns and thus often appear as constituents of a noun. Phrase. A verified individual, someone as crazy as John. Adverbial phrases. Adverbial phrases are often used to modify verbs or adjectives. Adverb phrases also appear as constituents of verb phrase and adjective phrase. Prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase always consists of a prepositional, e.g., to, from, with, for, at, on, under, about, through, plus a noun phrase. Phrase structure rules. A phrase structure rule is a series of rewrite rules. Partial phrase structure rules. Partial lexicon. 1. As on purpose of both VP, A, lex child, 2, and P, child plus anchor, lex arm, 3, child that can lex arm, 4, and happy lex adjective, 5, ox tense plus arm plus proof plus proof, man lex arm, C lex V. V plus on P plus PP, the lex the 80, 6. VP B plus NP PP. 7. Tense present past. 8. Lex 9. Perfect have plus earn. 10. Progressive B plus ing. 11. V lex V. 12. PP prop plus NP. 13. Prop lex prop. 14. Adjective lacks adjective. Abbreviation: A sentence MP non-phrase auxiliary VP purpose. The determiner lacks lexical modal perfect progressive adjective PP proportional price present proposition. National conversation means consists of X means X is optional. X means choose between X and Y. Y like X means a lexical item marked X. Criteria for word classes. Morphological criterion: what a given word takes suffixes. Morphosyntactic criteria: what a given word takes suffix having to do with person, number, or case. Syntactic criteria: what words a given word occurs with and the types of parts in which a given word occurs. Semantic criteria: what words mean. Heads and modifiers. Two central ideas. One, certain relationships hold between words. A had one word that control the other words. B, modifier, the other words that modify the head. 2. Words are grouped into phrases and that groupings typically bring together heads and their modifier. A given head might have more than one modifier and might have no modifier. In phrases, every phrase contains a head and possibly but not necessarily one or more modifiers. Example 1. A. Bark loudly with one modifier, had modifier, had bark verb modifier loudly at verb. B. The large dog with two modifier, modifier 1, modifier 2, had dog noun, modifier the determiner, definite article, large adjective. In clause, each clause has a head, the verb. Example 2. Mr. Alton delivered a cigarette to Emma for a friend. Modifier 1, had, modifier 2, modifier 3, modifier 4. Had delivered verb. Modifiers: Mr. Alton noun, a cigarette direct object, to Emma indirect object, for a friend preposition phrase.
And now we are going to talk about constituency, trees, and rules in syntax. When we study syntax, we look at how sentences are put together. Instead of just looking at the single words, we break down sentences into smaller parts called constituents. These constituents are then grouped together to form larger parts, which eventually make up a full sentence. Constituency refers to the grouping of words into units in a sentence, while trees are graphical representation of sentence structure, showing how hierarchical relationships between constituents. Trees will help us to visualize the syntactic structure of sentences. To understand sentence structure, it's very important to grasp the labels for each part of speech in the sentence. For example, tense phrase, verb phrase, noun, noun phrase, adjective, adjective phrase, pronoun, pronoun, adverb, adverb phrase, preposition, prepositional phrase, article, determiner, auxiliary, conjunction, and other labels. Now we try to draw the tree structure of the sentence. The student loved his syntax assignment. We could describe the sentence as consisting of the words the students loved his syntax and assignments in that order. This is a typical hierarchical tree structure. The sentence constituents represented by the symbol TP consists of the two constituents, a subject noun phrase and P the student, and a predicate phrase or verb phrase Fifi loved his syntax assignment. The subject and P in turn contain a noun student and a determiner or article the. Similarly, the VP contains a verbs and an object noun phrase his syntax assignment. The object noun phrase is further broken down into three bits: a determiner his, an adjective syntax, and a noun assignment. Hierarchical constituent structure can also be represented with brackets. But as we can see, brackets diagrams are much harder to read, so for the most part we will use three diagrams. The next discussion is about rules and trees. To understand the typical hierarchical tree structure, we need a rule to generate that tree. The rules we are going to consider in this discussion are called phrase structure rules. They generate the phrase structure tree of the sentence. The first is noun phrase. Noun phrase consists of one or more noun. For example, John is a noun phrase consisting of the noun John. The second rule indicates that a noun phrase can consist of a determiner followed by a noun. For example, the box is a noun phrase where the is determiner and box is the noun. The third rule indicates that a noun phrase can consist of an optional determiner followed by an optional adjective phrase and then a noun. For example, the big box and is a noun phrase where the is determiner, big is the adjective, and box is the noun. The next rule indicates that a noun phrase can consist of an optional determiner followed by an optional adjective, then a noun, and finally a prepositional phrase. For example, the big box of crayons is a noun phrase where the is the determiner, big is the adjective, box is the noun, and of crayon is the prepositional phrase. The next rule of the noun phrase indicates that the noun phrase can consist of an optional determiner followed by one or more optional adjective phrase, then the noun, and finally one or more prepositional phrase. For example, the big yellow box of cookies with the pink lid is a noun phrase where the is determiner, big and yellow are adjective, box is the noun, and of cookies and with the pink lid are prepositional phrases. Next discussion is adjective phrases and adverb phrases. The rules indicates that an adjective phrase can consist of an optional adverb phrase followed by an adjective. In sentence, the big yellow book consists of word big and yellow. They are adjective modifying the noun books. There is no adverb phrase in this example, so the adjective phrase directly consists of the adjective big and yellow. While in the sentence, the very yellow book indicates word very is an adverb modifying the adjective yellow. The adverb phrase very yellow functions as an adjective phrase modifying the noun book. Therefore, the adjective phrase consists of the adverb phrase very yellow. A very similar rule is used to introduce adverb phrase. The rule indicates that an adverb phrase can consist of an optional adverb phrase followed by an adverb. In this example, very is an adverb modifying the adverb quickly. The adverb phrase very quickly functions as an adverb phrase describing the manner in which something is done. Therefore, the adverb phrase consists of the adverb very followed by adverb quickly. Preposition followed by noun phrase. In this example, with is the preposition and an X is the noun phrase. together with an X, forms a propositional phrase indicating a relationship between the noun phrase an X and the rest of the sentence. And we are going to talk about rules in verb phrases. The first rule indicates that a verb phrase consists solely of a verb. For example, the verb left from a verb phrases without any adverbial modification. The second rule indicates that a verb phrase consists of a verb followed by an adverb phrase. In the example left quickly, the verb left is accompanied by the adverb phrase quickly, specifying the manner in which the action is performed. The third rule indicates that a verb phrase may consist of zero or more adverb phrases before and or after the verb. In the example, the verb left is modified by the adverb phrases deliberately and quickly before it and early after it, providing additional information about the manner and timing of the action. And we are going to talk about rules in clauses. A clause consists of a subject NP and a VP. The label we use for clause is TP, which stands for tense phrase. The first rule indicates that a tense phrase, which represents a clause, consists of a noun phrase serving as the subject and a verb phrase representing the predicate. In the example, Bill served as the subject NP and frequently got his box from the store for $1 forms the VP, indicating the action performed by the subject. The second rule indicates that a tense phrase can consist of a noun phrase serving as the subject, optionally followed by a then element, and then a verb phrase representing the predicate. In the sample, Cedric served as the subject NP might represent as the tense element, indicating stability or probability, and crossed the long boat from the VP, indicating the action performed by the subject. And the last discussion is about complementizer phrase. In clauses, there are complementizer phrase. We need a special rule to introduce complementizer. This rule indicates that a complementizer phrase can consist of an optional complementizer followed by a tense phrase which represents a clause. In the example, Sean said that he taked the janitor. The complementizer that introduces the clause he taked the janitor after the verb said. These rules indicates that a tense phrase can consist of either a noun phrase or a complementizer phrase serving as the subject, followed by an optional tense element and then a verb phrase representing the predicate. In the example, the complementizer phrase that he taked the janitor serves as the subject of the clause and word Jeff forms the VP, indicating the action performed by the subject. So that's all about constituency, trees, and rules in syntax. The next discussion about grammatical function and syntactic linkage will be explained by Novi.
Thank you, Suratmi. And now this is my time. My name is Novianti Nurfadilah, and I would like to presentation material about grammatical functions and syntactic linkage, where the percentage contents are number one, understanding grammatical functions, and number two, syntactic linkage and dependency relations, and the last, psychological subjects and syntactic constructions. So let's go started. Grammatical functions. Understanding grammatical functions entails comprehending the roles that different elements of language play within sentence. Let's delve into each subject of understanding grammatical functions. Number one, subject-verb relationship is exploring how the subject marks the verb and controls the desired style. Example, in the sentence, she sings She is the subject and sings is the verb. The subject-verb relationship indicates that the action of singing is performed by she. And number 2, subject and direct object is understanding the subject's role in controlling the direct object. Example: in the sentence, he eats an apple. He is the subject, it is the verb, and an apple is the direct object. The subject, he, performs the action of eating, and the direct object, an apple, is what is being eaten. And number 3, subject in Latin. Examining the application of subject concept in Latin. Example: in Latin, the sentence Paula cantat translates to the girl sings in English. Here, Paula girl is the subject and cantat sings is the verb. The subject-verb relationship remains a crucial aspect of sentence construction in Latin. Agreement within noun phrases. Number 1. Noun-adjective agreement is exploring how nouns and adjectives adjust in terms of number, case, and gender. Example: in the press, 3 red roses. Rose is a plural noun, and the word 3 and red must agree with it. If the noun is feminine, the adjective should also be in the feminine form, and it's fuller, the adjective should reflect that. So, in a language with gendered nouns like Spanish, 3 red roses would be translated as 3 roses. And number 2, example from Latin. Concrete example of agreement within noun phrases in Latin. Example: in Latin, the phrase Paula Benar means good girls. Here, Paula girls is a feminine and plural, and bonne good agrees with it in gender, number, and case. And last, copula constructions. Understanding the concept of agreement in copula constructions. Example: in the sentence, the apple is red. Apple is the subject singular, and red is the adjective. The copula ensures agreement between the subject and the adjective. If the subject were plural, the adjective would need to reflect that the apple red. Syntactic linkage and dependency relations, nouns and infinitives. Number 1. Control of infinitive is exploring how nouns control the interpretation of infinitives. And the example: in the sentence, she wants to eat ice cream. She is the subject noun controlling the action of to eat. The subject she determines will perform the action expressed by the infinitive to eat. Number 2, reflexive pronouns is understanding the role of nouns in controlling reflexive pronouns. Example: in the sentence, he saw himself in the mirror. The noun he controls the reflexive pronoun himself. The reflexive pronoun reflects the action back to the same person mentioned in the sentence. Number 3, agreement with verbs is examining the agreement between verb and subject nouns. Example: in the sentence, the cat is sleeping. The subject noun cat is singular and the verb is agrees with it. If the subject were plural, the verb will change accordingly. The cats are sleeping. Direct and indirect objects. Number 1. Distinguishing objects. Understanding the distinction between direct and indirect objects. Example, in a sentence, she gave him a book. A book is the direct object because it receives the action of giving directly. Him is the indirect object as it indicates to whom the book is given. And number 2, position in sentence is exploring the position of indirect object in a sentence is about understanding where the objects typically occur in relation to the verb and the direct object. Example, in the sentence she gave a book to him. The direct object, a book, comes before the indirect object to him. Number 3. Relationship with verbs. Examining how indirect object express relationship with verbs involves understanding the verbs that commonly take a both direct and indirect object and the meaning conveyed by this relationship. Example, in the sentence, I told her a story. The verb to takes both a direct object, a story, and an indirect object, her. The indirect object, her, indicates to whom the story is told. Psychological subject and syntactic construction. Number 1. Basic construction properties is exploring the properties of basic construction in a sentence. Example, in the sentence, she read a book. The basic construction includes the subject she, the verb reads, and the direct object a book. And number 2, dependency relations is understanding the dependency relation between verbs and subject noun is crucial for identifying how subject control or influence the action expressed by verb. Example, in the sentence, the cat curses the mouse. The subject, the cat, control the action of cursing. And number 3, active and passive sentence is examining in distinctions between active and passive sentence. Construction involves understanding how the subject, role, and the focus of the sentence change. Example, active, the chef cooked a delicious meal. Subject, the chef. Passive, a delicious meal was cooked by the chef. Subject, a delicious meal. That's the percentage from group 4. We hope it is useful. So thank you.